Good morning, ladies and gentlemen of Ballet International. I am presenting to you a special guest, and I'm very pleased to have this wonderful artist online on Zoom and in Ballet International. Her name, I hope that I am pronouncing well the name, is Liza Purchas.
Lisa Purchas.
Oh, I made it completely wrong. Lisa? Lisa,
So
okay.
it's
I will call you
Lisa.
Lisa. It's much better.
Lovely.
And she is in Australia, I think in
Yes,
Perth. Is that right?
yes,
Yes.
that's right.
And she is the artistic director of a ballet academy in Perth. So it is so nice to have you online, Lisa, today. And as you see in Ballet International, we do interview with different people from Australia, South Africa, from all around the globe. And it is nice to have an idea, a general idea of the beauty of dance. So
Absolutely.
how are you, Lisa, today?
I'm very good, Jean-Pierre. It's lovely to meet you via Zoom.
I feel so honored to have you online. Lisa, please, could you kindly tell us how did you start ballet? What age? Who were your teachers? And how did your parents encourage you to develop this art of ballet and this love of ballet?
Yes, good questions, Jean-Pierre. So I have been dancing since I was about 4 years old, along with my older sister, who was also a beautiful dancer. And it was very much like an interesting family, a lot of accent on playing a musical instrument, doing ballet, really being involved in the arts. And then my sister and I danced all our lives, so went through to a very advanced level in both ballet and national character dancing.
Yeah.
And then it was later that I decided that I would really like to teach. So having gone along to the National Ballet School in Wellington, I decided really that wasn't for me. I think I was a little bit too much of a mercenary, Jean-Pierre. I wanted to earn good money. And so I set up a ballet school in the province of Hawke's Bay in New Zealand. So all my ballet training, all my dance training took place in New Zealand. And I set up one of the largest ballet studios in the province. So we taught everything from classical ballet to jazz to modern dancing, character dancing, adult ballet, all those lovely things.
So
And then we immigrated.
you are embracing all this dance discipline all together in the academy.
Yes, yes. So we did everything just so that we really, I think my main ethos is to make ballet and dance in all its genres actually very accessible to everybody. So rather than it being too elitist, just that, you could teach, like our teachers are all expertly trained professionals, but that our studios have always been recreational so that anybody could come to the studio regardless of ability or experience and still take part in our classes and just love the whole experience.
And who were your teachers? You were the
So teachers on the way through included, I started with a wonderful lady, Jean Valentine in Hawke's Bay, and she was fabulous. And then she employed a number of young dancers who danced with the New Zealand Ballet Company and then had retired and come back to teach. So I had a very excellent start. All of my training has been done through the RAD. And then when Jean Valentine retired, her dance teachers, Briar Horrocks mainly, then took over and I danced under her tuition all the way through.
nice, very nice. And in how many ballet did you dance?
How long did I dance?
Yeah, how long and in how many choreographies and ballet did you dance on
Oh,
stage?
sorry. I have danced my whole life, Jean-Pierre. So I'm now about 106. So that means I've done a lot of dancing. But actually, I never joined a company though. I had large studios.
Yes. Well,
which is
it
what I've
doesn't.
continued to do here in Australia.
Yes. And how were your parents responding to your love of ballet?
Oh, they were thrilled, Jean-Pierre. And the fact that subsequently I could make a very good living from what I had, trained in, they thought that was absolutely spectacular. So, yeah, I think that many, many thanks to them for all the running around. You know very well what it's like, parents taking kids to,
Yes.
all the summer schools, all the auditions, all the competitions, all those things. And they always did that. So, yeah, many thanks to them both.
And does your sister continue the same way like you do?
Actually, Jean-Pierre, I lost my lovely sister many years ago to breast cancer. But that was very sad. But she actually didn't pursue dancing. She really pursued her love of literature and she wrote. So she was a very beautiful writer.
Hmm. And she was a writer about ballet, or she was writing anything?
Oh, right. A writer about anything and everything. Very capable. Yeah.
Nice. And so what type of teaching do you give? More RAD or just your own
So,
style?
Jean-Pierre, what we've done is we use the RAD as an excellent framework, but I an early childhood dance program that we teach to children in the 3 to 5 year age group. And then we have teachers who come in, and because our teachers are, they come from backgrounds in Vaganova, Cicchetti, RAD, means the children are actually exposed to beautiful open classes. So we include a bit of repertoire, and we want to give the children, like all the students,
Hmm.
a big ballet feel. So they're taught beautifully, but there's a lot of lovely extra freedom, I think, to
Yeah.
dance like that. So
Yeah.
it's not just one syllabus. And then what I did after my mother was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, Jean-Pierre, in 2006, she actually died in 2016. I put together a program, Ballet for Alzheimer's, Ballet for You, because it's specifically for people with mild cognitive impairment and early stage Alzheimer's. And when you think about it, a dancer uses both sides of the brain, both sides of the body. We cue, we count, we work on posture and balance and strength and all these things. So I
Yes.
put together a program specifically for women,
Yeah.
with Alzheimer's disease. And
Yes.
that's something that I include in my private practice within my studio too.
Yeah. And do you give classes also to adults?
Yes, we do. So we have a thriving adult ballet community here in Perth, Western Australia. Lots of classes for adults, and some people have lots of experience and some people have no experience. But the whole thing is they're open ballet classes. So the music, we use a lot of Massimiliano Greco's music and Nigel Gaynor's music, but there's just so much beautiful music to use.
Yes.
So there are a lot of adult ballet classes, a lot of ballet for seniors, so senior citizens, so people over the age of 60, 65. So we have a thriving, lots of different classes for people within that age group too.
I think that adult people enjoy it very much, in every corner of the earth, they love it. They love it.
You're so right. You're so right.
Because
What's not to love about ballet?
yes, they are aware that they will never become professional, but
No,
they enjoy what physique can do, you know.
yes, exactly. So the idea is not that they're going to audition for the local quarter ballet with the
Yeah,
national ballet companies, but they just want to build the coordination, strength, improve
yeah.
their posture, their balance, all those lovely things.
Yes, yes. And how long is each class that you give? Is about 1 hour 15 or some more? Or
Generally about an hour, I think. I keep their focus there, Jean-Pierre.
yeah.
1 hour. I think that's more than they can take.
And uh, how how do you respond when you see that some students have difficulties following the class, the movement, or sometimes the tempo of the music. How do you as a teacher, how do you explain and, in order to not distress the student mentally, you just, you might give them that feeling of being comfortable in class. So how do you manage to do that?
Yeah, so what I would tend to do, because what I have found is that most of the people who attend adult ballet classes are professional and are largely women. In fact, at the moment, they're all women,
Yes.
but they tend to be very excellent in their field of expertise. So when they come to the ballet class, they really don't want judgment. They don't want to be constantly corrected. So insofar as the movement's conducted safely, I can slow music down. I can go over, a lot of the detail of the exercises and things.
Yes.
But something that a lot of people have difficulty with is the mirror image, which, in which case I just turn around and then they will just follow from behind, and that's fine. Because we don't use mirrors in our studios, Jean-Pierre. Yeah, so that's a bit unique, isn't it? So I used to find that the young children would get very distracted by their own reflections in the mirrors. So that was a little counterproductive. And then in the case of the adults, they didn't want to look in the mirror. So like no mirrors in our studios. And we do it all by feel. You know how they feel their alignment is, how they feel their standing, they feel where their balance is and where their weight distribution
That
is.
is a good thing also for ballet companies, because
Yeah.
because professional ballet dancers, they have this bad habit to always look themselves in the mirror, but then when they have to dance without mirror,
Exactly.
it's a
Exactly.
terrible feeling.
On the stage. So for all my students, I say they don't need mirrors. They just need to feel it,
Yes.
know where their balance is, know, how their alignment feels, that kind of thing.
I remember that once I was doing a ballet class with a very good teacher, and we were about 25 people in that class. And
Yes.
he said, you are going to do the class, but turning your back to the mirror. You will do
Yes.
the class looking on the other side. And
Yes, a really good idea. How did you find it?
yes, believe me that it was a completely different feeling for physical and mental, both.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that dancing without mirrors makes you more mindful of the movement.
Yes, yes.
I
agree, yes.
really have to think about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you get a bad habit and you get used to it.
Mm-hmm. True. I agree. Yeah.
Well, I think on my concern, it's already more than enough when I wake up in the morning and I look myself in the mirror in the bathroom and I say, oh, that is me, So I wouldn't like to see me in the mirror in a ballet studio again.
I've seen you doing those stretches, Jean-Pierre. You're very impressive. So I wouldn't be too shy in front of the mirror.
I have created well, people will say yes, but many teachers do that, and it's like a bar floor, but it's mixed with a little bit of yoga. It's
Yes. Yeah.
everything is done in slow motion. So in order to not stress the physique and to
Yes.
the correct posture of each movement of the turn out and the pull up. So, and there is no need to repeat the movement 8 or 10 times or 12 times. No, you just do it 4 times. But because if
Yeah.
you know how to do it correctly, you don't need to do it more and more and more. Otherwise, you
That's right.
stress the muscle. So
Yes.
once you get the right position, you stay there and you control all the rest of the body, the shoulders, the neck, all like in ballet, exactly like in ballet. And believe me that it's very hard, very hard. And
It would be wonderful for the body.
yes, and you concentrate yourself. I use any type of music. I love using different type of music because the music has a therapeutical effect on the brain and the soul.
I
So
agree.
yes, and it helps you to gain confidence. It helps you to do the movements better also because you must feel the music. It's like when you are on
Yeah.
if you
Right.
don't feel the music, there is no expression coming out from you.
Yes, yeah.
And if one day we meet, then you will try to do the class I do, and you will see the effect.
I would look forward to that, Jean-Pierre. I would look forward to that very much.
You must know that in Australia, I have many cousins who live there.
Oh, where do they live, Jean-Pierre?
They live in Sydney and in Melbourne. So
Ah,
if one day I come to visit Australia, I have never been there. I might come to Perth and see you.
you should. I think you should. I invite you to come and visit me in my studio. You could take some classes for me.
Yes,
Yeah.
that would be lovely. That would be lovely. And how many teachers do you have in your academy?
So at the moment, so after COVID, Jean-Pierre, so I had a very large studio. And then with COVID, same everywhere. Basically, business was shut down. So it was the end of March, and I had to lay off 8 of my staff and close the doors of my studio. Then we opened a year later, and I took on the lease in this beautiful building. So it got fine art all around me, like everything that fills the senses with, positivity. And it's almost like an overreaction to what COVID did, which just wiped us out. Instead, I thought I'm going to create this place that it's naturally lit, it's inspiring, and everybody who comes just feels elated to be here. So if you like, that was kind of our reaction to the whole COVID situation. And then obviously for those next 2 years, we had restrictions, very strict restrictions here in Western Australia, where they closed our border and,
Yes.
people couldn't trade, people couldn't do anything. So we Zoomed quite a lot.
Yes.
And because historically, so in addition to teaching Jean-Pierre, I published a children's book years ago all about ballet. In fact, it was actually about my sister and I. So and then we did a little CD narrative, and we had the music of the from the Nutcracker playing behind the audio. It was just a little labor of love.
Yes.
And then we got into media production. So we've done a lot of media work, a lot of film work. And we put together the Teach Me to Dance DVD series, and we sold those DVDs all over the world into all the different countries. It was just huge. And then decided to upload all of that. As technology changed, we decided we'd put it all up on YouTube. So then it was free of charge to everybody. Anybody can access that through the Dancescene YouTube channel. And it's for children aged 3 to 4, and then 4 to 5, and then junior jazz, and then adult ballet and stretch. And we did all these things.
Yes.
So we used that as kind of the basis to set up our new platform, our iDance Daily platform. So much as all dancers, just as you were describing with your floor bar, you like to kind of cross-train. We are very much firm believers in that too, that it's, as a dancer, it's not just ballet, or it's not just, jazz and hip hop, that you have to actually keep all of the body trained, use different muscles, keep strong. And so what we did is we put together this fabulous online dance platform. So it's www.idancedaily.com.au. And on that you have ballet classes, you have Pilates classes, you have yoga, hip hop, children's classes. What else? We have salsa classes. I'm not much of a salsa dancer, Jean-Pierre, but we give it a go. Just to more or less say, just keep moving, do anything to keep the body active.
Yes.
And we made it just a nominal fee so that people can subscribe for less than what it costs. So for 1 month, it costs less than the cost of one casual class in, say, ballet or something
Yes.
like that. So it's very inexpensive. But we have my daughter Michaela and I. We take charge of the ballet side of things, and then we have people take Pilates and yoga and hip hop and salsa and club fiesta and all these other things, and then we just take part so that it makes it that mother-daughter intergenerational thing. They just so people can have a bit of fun with it, but get really fit, get really strong, and they can do it from the privacy of their own home.
Yeah. Well, it's very important what you do because when you go to a ballet school, you must also have the fun side. It's not only the
Yeah,
discipline, you see.
exactly. Yeah,
And
exactly.
the little photos that I have seen on your website about your ballet academy and your ballet studio, the entrance, the hall, and it's very elegant and it's very, every detail is very, very tidy, clean, and,
Yeah,
yes, and I really love it because it's very nice. So
thank
you
you.
have a very elegant, high class style in your academy.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. We
And
try.
we must always try, always, always, always. And how
Yeah.
how is the audience responding in Perth? Is the audience different in other towns, or Perth is something special? Is it different from Melbourne, from Sydney?
I think probably very different. I think WA, well, when you visit me and I show you around, we'll go to some of the ballets and you will see for yourself. But I think that WA is a very unique um, state, really. It's the most isolated out of all the states in Australia, but
Yeah.
I do think it is the best. It has the best climate, it has the best people. No, I think that people are very supportive of the arts, and we have a really wonderful ballet company here, the WA Ballet Company.
Yes.
And under the
It is the
guidance of
West
yeah,
Australian
the
ballet.
West Australian Ballet. They are fabulous, Jean-Pierre, because I think they've really engaged the population here so that they have very broad appeal.
Yeah.
And that's vital because that's what ballet companies have to do. You can't sort of just be doing the same thing over and over and over. You have to be inventive. You have to have, beautiful young dancers, new choreographers, fresh ideas, all those things to keep it vibrant, I think. So you can have, your smash ring of the
To,
traditional repertoire.
to keep it alive, always alive.
You do, I agree. You have to keep it alive. And I love that WA Ballet has been bold and brave and, they've done some very interesting things. So, for example, most recently, they did a very new take on Swan Lake and they had the Indigenous theme. So, the Aboriginal people here in Australia running through this particular ballet, Swan Lake. And it was so beautifully done, very clever, it's a very bold move. And I think it was fabulous because it's artistic license, isn't it? It keeps it dynamic.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the arts have got to be dynamic. Yeah.
It has to be dynamic. And I
Yeah.
think that, well, with all due respect of the traditional choreographies as Sleeping Beauty, Swan Lake, Bayadere, but sometimes if there is a new choreographer who can remake
Yes.
a version of of an old ballet, it is also uplifting if the
It is.
choreography is well done. Because
Yes.
I think that the audience today is not, maybe it's not fair what I'm going to say, but it's getting a bit bored to always look the same sylphide, the same pas de
Yeah.
quatre, the same,
Yeah.
you know, for all respect we give to the old ballet, but sometimes it's boring and it's monotonous.
Yeah, yeah, I know. And the other thing is that a lot of the context historically doesn't fit with a lot of the values today. And
Yeah,
so I think that's why I really applaud, the ballet companies sort of going, well, actually, we can modify this and we can make things a little bit different. And you
yeah,
still hold on to the traditional ballets, they're works of art, but
yeah.
keep it alive and keep it interesting so that you're always also engaging younger people,
Yes,
to come to the ballet and to support the ballet because the ballet companies need audiences
yes.
and, you know, a whole, when you think of a thriving arts
I agree.
community,
I
very
agree
healthy.
because this is vitamins for the young generations. It's
I
up
love it. Yes, it is. Yeah.
the
A
young
multivitamin
generation.
for the soul.
Exactly. Young generation today, they like ballet, but they get bored after a few classes of ballet
Yes. Yeah.
because it's not for the discipline, because the discipline you cannot change, but they get
Yeah.
bored for the atmosphere they find, the piano music, the leotard, and the usual positions, and you must give some fun. You must give some.
Yeah.
It must be more energetic, the ballet
Yeah.
class for young people. So
Yeah,
this
I think.
this is why when I was teaching in other countries, I used to mix a little bit, just a little drop of contemporary with
Yes.
classic. You see, the
Yes.
two things together. In order, because I saw that if I was teaching only the pure classic, after a while, the young people would get distracted during class. They wouldn't follow.
I, no, I've seen it too. I think you've got to be, I think the other thing is if you as a teacher are very excited and you also want to not only capture but maintain your students' attention. I
Mm.
think that actually makes you want to be a bit bolder and have a bit more fun in your classes too. And I think that that energy is
Yeah,
then transferred to your students. So I think you have to keep it dynamic
exactly.
because
I
otherwise
agree.
it is just boring. You know what it's like to teach the same thing day in, day out. It's
Mm.
terribly boring.
Yes,
So it's good to keep it interesting.
yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I remember that my mother, she was my teacher, and she was
Yeah.
choreographer also.
Mhm.
And
Fabulous.
she was giving classes to adults.
Yes,
And there was a little group of adults, something like 15 adults, who, after 5, 6 years of training, they became
yes.
good, not
Yeah,
professional, but they were good.
very
Quite.
good. Yeah, I can believe it.
So my mother one day, she said, okay, we are going to give a performance and we are going to make a contemporary dance.
Yeah,
So all the students were scared to death. They said, but we have never done contemporary. We only made a gym class, ballet class, And so when they understood and they learned the steps, because in contemporary you need more expression, not only
yeah,
for face, but you need more expression of the body, of the arms, of the
yes,
contortion of the body. It's a completely different technique than classical ballet. Ballet is more
yes, it is.
linear, it's more open, it's more wide. But in
Yeah,
contemporary, it's more closed, it's more inner. It's inner expression.
yeah.
So they did that, and they understood the movements, and they had a tremendous success. But the
Oh,
ladies,
lovely.
those were ladies about 45, 48 years old. But on stage, they worked so hard that they looked like professional.
Oh, isn't that fabulous?
And
Yeah, and what it would have done for them, that would have lifted their confidence enormously.
exactly.
Yeah, and we felt so proud.
So I think that what you are doing, it's a wonderful thing. for young students and also for adults, because
Yes.
adults need to participate, to get involved, not only in ballet, but sometimes, you know, there are people who want to, volunteers who want to help for the stage settings, for the
Yeah.
stage costumes, to prepare, you know, to get involved also in the production. And so you create a team, and this is important,
Yeah.
and to be united.
It's like a community, isn't it?
Exactly, exactly.
Hmm.
And do
Yeah.
you find it sometimes difficult to the response of the parents? Do they understand what you do?
I think they do. I think we have a very fabulous following here.
Yes,
I think probably, I mean, there's always going to be that situation where parents will compare children.
yes,
Um, which can be very hard because not all children are going to be, just born little dancers.
yes,
Some children just have an innate sense of musicality.
yes,
Some are just natural performers and have that little X factor when they get out on stage.
yeah,
So they all have different, skills and abilities. But I
yeah,
think the biggest thing is that with parents, we also highlight the fact that ballet is fabulous for all those reasons we know about, but there are also those intangibles, those transferable skills
yes,
into many other areas of a child's development, like a student's development. Even if you looked at confidence,
yes,
if you're talking about spatial awareness, if you're talking about, you know, um, just that whole appreciation of classical music
ye-
or the beauty of the performing arts or fine art or all of these things. I mean, to me, obviously, we're very passionate about ballet and dance and
yeah,
music and art and all these things, but it truly feeds the soul, Jean-Pierre. And I think more than ever in this world, and 2023 is going to be, it'll have its own challenges too. That I think that if you are involved in the arts, you just have to make it accessible to everybody because everybody needs to feel uplifted and motivated. You need to, provide something aspirational for people because
yeah,
times are tough, and I just think, I mean, that's certainly what I've been trying to do through my work, even on social media, so that you keep the arts first and foremost in people's minds, that it's something that's beautiful. It's good for the soul.
yeah.
Yeah. Sort of.
So I'm completely alien of the culture in Australia. For me, everything is new because I never been there. But in Perth, do you have, like in Australia, opera house, the famous opera house, or the,
Opera house here, but we have a beautiful theatre called His Majesty's Theatre, but we have a lot of modern architecture along with the old heritage sort of buildings and things.
yes,
So it's quite a modern city. Um, I mean, it's a fabulous city. Honestly, the skies. We have a lot of Italians here, Jean-Pierre. So I think you probably have a lot of family members here. Maybe you just don't know yet. But there's a lot of Italians here. So, and because we have a high number of Italians, that's shown in things like architecture, beautiful tiling, the great restaurant life here, because Italians are vibrant and there's a vitality and energy about the Italians. So yeah, we have a lot of Italians here, and I think that they've made a huge contribution to
yeah.
just
Well,
society in a way.
Italian and Greek, you will find them everywhere for restaurant, for culture, for music, for everywhere in the world.
It's fabulous. It's absolutely fabulous. And do you know, WA is one of the most multicultural places on the earth.
Yes,
Like literally, it's one of the most multicultural cities, cosmopolitan cities.
yeah.
Yeah. So many different cultures, many different languages spoken, and it's a very cool place to be.
It's nice. It's nice to hear that. And so do you have boys in your academy?
Do you know, I do have boys in my academy, but not nearly enough boys, Jean-Pierre. Have you got any tips for how I can get more boys to be involved?
I think the only way is to get boys involved, because boys, you know, young boys are always shy to do when they hear about ballet. They are always shy, and they always think that the ballet is only for girls.
Yes, yeah.
So, but actually, ballet is the most athletic art
I know.
sport for boys.
I
So
know.
it depends what type of classes you teach for boys. Because if you take even 6, 8 boys who will do a ballet class, but in the same style of a girl, they will get disappointed. So
Yes, yeah.
you must mix the class with a different type of teaching, you know, mix
Yes,
with more gymnastic, more athleticism, and then you start teaching a little bit of a technique of ballet. But if you
yes,
straight away to ballet, uh, grand plié, battement tendu, you know, rond de jambe, the things that they do at the bar, they can learn it, but slowly, slowly. But they must learn how to feel the physique in the gymnastic and get the
yes,
muscles stronger, because boys
yes,
have a different body structure of the girl.
yes, yes,
While a girl at the bar and in the center, she's learning how to master the grace in each movement. The
mm,
boy must know how to master the strength, like a tiger, in the
yes,
jumps, the elevation, and
yes,
how to then slowly, slowly, when they grow up, how to hold a girl in the pas de deux, which is completely different. And
yes,
but when it depends also on the teacher of the academy, and also how the teachers talk to the students. So
yes,
this is why maybe in many places around the world, boys are a little bit scared and they refrain themselves to go to ballet school. And
yes,
but I think you will be able to, I mean, to get, a good group, because I see that in your academy, it's very wide in the technique. You do different type of technique, and this also will encourage all type of students to follow
mm,
your academy. So either boys, girls, adults, different ages,
yes,
and um, but it depends how you respond to the, which is the most difficult thing, because also I think, in my opinion, that parents sometimes are the biggest problems for their children,
mm, yeah,
because
preconceived ideas. Yeah,
yes, because they don't understand what is the real essence, what is the real purpose of doing ballet. They
yes,
most of them they take it as a joke, as an amusement,
mm,
for fun, but they don't do it. They don't contemplate that as a real athletic work, as a real
yeah,
art work. You see, because next to ballet, there is a history of ballet, history of music, and there is
mm,
many other things that a student must learn. It's not only technique,
yeah.
and there is mime work. There is,
Transferable skills so important, aren't they, Jean-Pierre?
yes. So,
Yeah,
but I think that you will be able to do something good in Perth, because The little I have seen of you on the web and in some little videos, it's very nice, and I hope that the people of Ballet International will appreciate what you are doing in Perth.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
So, what are your future projects? What I mean, okay, the academy is something, but what are your future projects? Would you like to do something bigger, something more important for Perth, or maybe spreading out outside Perth?
Yeah. I guess at this stage, because the studio, we're rebuilding at the moment, Jean-Pierre, because with the whole COVID situation,
Yes,
it's a case of just staying on top, not spreading ourselves too thinly or too widely. But certainly our iDance Daily platform will be the thing that will demand more and more time and energy. And that is, of course, that's very much a global enterprise, because you can do that anywhere in the world,
yes,
any time of day. Google translates into 300 plus languages. So it's a very universal sort of thing to have. As long as you've got an internet connection and
yes.
any electronic device, you can access it. So I think that'll keep us busy for the next little while, I think. And then hopefully, I'd love to think that in, say, a couple of years, the world will be in a more sort of pre-COVID state. Fingers crossed, Jean-Pierre. But
Yes.
yeah, I think it's a case of just getting back to where we were and then developing the iDance Daily. Yeah. So
How is
that's just everything.
how is the situation now with COVID in Australia?
So do you know now, although the case numbers are hugely high, Jean-Pierre, there are no restrictions. Nobody has to wear masks. Nothing is mandated. So, it's a case of there's a reasonably high rate of vaccination. And I
Yes,
think generally, just as is the case to most places around the world, that governments are now saying, okay, we just need to manage this.
yes,
I think probably also what's changed is that with the introduction of the antivirals, there aren't the same grave concerns that they had previously, because now if somebody in, an immune compromised situation or in an elderly,
yes,
cohort, they can actually take the antivirals and they're not going to be as likely to die from COVID. So, I think, yeah, everybody's just hoping that we'll get on that trajectory of, normality a little bit more.
Well, I think that now people can also travel a little bit more than before.
Yeah, they can. So those freedoms are being reintroduced.
Yes. And
Yeah.
so you as a teacher, did you find it difficult? Because the feeling is different when you have a ballet student in your ballet studio, and then that you see the same student or other students on Zoom.
Oh, so hard, Jean-Pierre. So hard, because you know what it's like when you have a student in the studio. I mean, the reality is, I think everybody deserves a medal for making the most of Zoom and the technology that we had available. Because in the absence of that, there was nothing. There was the abyss. So I've got to say, my lasting memory is of dancers from all over the world taking Zoom classes in their kitchens, in their apartments. It was very well, it was beautiful, but it was also a little bit sad, because you have all these trained athletes, but people literally had to try and maintain condition
Yes.
in, less than ideal circumstances. I mean, yeah. I don't think there's any glossing over, Jean-Pierre. I think it was just awful for everybody. But read the Zoom, that was very difficult for children.
Yes.
And so I would, because I've done a lot of media work, a lot of film work, I would just have to be even larger than life to keep the children, like attention while they were watching the screens and things. But it did also give rise to the iDance Daily platform. And what we did there is we've used this fantastic photographer and videographer here in WA, Chris Huzzard. And so everything's of the highest caliber. Like, it's just presented in a way that is beautifully done, so that there's nothing, it doesn't resemble sort of somebody on their phone going, oh, and this is how we're going to do the plie exercise, or this is how we're going to do the lovely adart exercise. It actually is very, well, hopefully it's very aspirational, so that people actually think, oh, you know, we really want to participate. So it's done in a way that fosters almost a more interactive experience, you know, but very, very high quality. So, you know, like with, remember how it was? I mean, your image is so clear on my smartphone, but when Zoom started out, do you remember everybody was about that small and they were kind of shadowy?
Yes, yes.
Really difficult to look at a student and think, are they even doing it correctly? And then the whole reception used to come in and out, and it was, or the screen would freeze. It was pretty awful, really.
Yeah, but at least there was something that you all united, in doing a class, even if the class was full of.
I agree.
But
I agree.
the people
It
were
taught us a lot about ourselves, didn't it, Jean-Pierre?
Yes.
You know, I think we're pretty resilient. And I think dancers are so good at improvising. You
Yeah.
know, in the absence of one thing, you adapt. And
Yeah.
I think that's one of those transferable things, isn't it? That
Yeah.
a dancer, you will adapt. A dancer will make the best of a situation, albeit imperfect, but they will make the best of it. Yeah.
Well, they learn that how to adapt themselves when they are working in a ballet company, because also in ballet company sometimes you have funny surprises in the last minute, few minutes before performance, and they must know how to adapt themselves. And so this is a good school, good training, because then when you have situation like COVID, dancers adapt themselves everywhere in the world, you see?
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Yeah.
I have seen some videos of professional ballet dancers from many countries, but the most important videos are the dancers from Russia, from Opera of Paris, from England, Royal Ballet, while they were at home during COVID, and they were doing their training in the kitchen, in the living room, they were doing the bar and the center, and some of them were doing beautiful things. But of course, you know, the flooring is not the same. You cannot jump. You cannot. For instance, when I was in lockdown at home, I've been for 8 months without any work, and I was doing some bar work. And if I was doing my grand battement, my foot was touching the bed, and my grand battement Nadia was touching the other thing. So it was very difficult, you know, but you have to adapt yourself. You have to adapt yourself. There is a good sense of adaptation. And so have you ever worked overseas?
Well, I did my training in New Zealand, and
Yes,
then I set up the large studio then. Then when my husband and I emigrated to Australia, to Western Australia, we
yes,
brought our baby daughter, and I set up a studio here.
yes.
Then when we went off to Indonesia, so my husband Peter's a marine biologist, so we set up a huge Sarsi pearling business and hatchery up there. And I taught ballet to the expatriate children there, because there was no, I mean, it was West Timor. It was, I mean, it was hardly a big metropolis. So there was nothing there like that. So I would teach all the expat children. So they would be from all different countries around the world, and they would meet at the Wisma, and we would do some ballet classes, which was lovely. But the other thing that I did was within the kampung, so the village where we were located, the Indonesian children, before I could speak Indonesian,
Yeah.
they would come along. And this is when I realized the universal nature of ballet, Jean-Pierre, is fantastic, because I couldn't speak at that stage Indonesian, and none of these children could speak any English. But the beautiful thing with ballet is its mirror image, and
It's
they were just following instructions.
imitating your movements. Yeah.
Yeah. So you actually, that was the universal language.
Yeah.
Ballet was the universal language. It was movement. It was
I agree.
beautiful.
I agree. I agree.
Yeah. So that was very special.
And then
Yes.
did you learn Indonesian slowly, slowly?
Yeah. No, slowly. And then I went and studied it at university. So actually I studied advanced Indonesian language, so I became
Wow.
very fluent.
Is
Yeah.
it
It was
difficult?
great, great experience.
Is it difficult?
No, it's not. Yeah.
Not.
It's not a difficult language. Not a difficult language to speak. More difficult if you're going to translate poetry or something,
Yeah.
because you know
Yes.
sometimes the translation can't be too direct because there are nuances within a language. So something doesn't necessarily translate perfectly. But anyway, other than that, yes, it's lovely.
And then when you left Indonesia to go to Australia, back to Australia,
Yeah.
uh,
Back to Australia.
yes, what about your students? Did you leave them like that or?
Well, because we were expats, so we were there for 4.5 years. So
Yes,
within that time, you would have families that were coming and going. They might be from Canada, they could be from France, they could be from Belgium or America. They're from everywhere.
yes,
But there is kind of that expat, sense that people are coming and going
yes,
constantly. So it wasn't as though I'd set up a studio as in,
yes,
a permanent,
yes, yes.
fixture there. It was more something that was just done for the expat children and then for the local village children.
That I think has enriched you with a new experience, Indonesia.
Yes. Yeah, it was fabulous. Life's good, Jean-Pierre. Life's full of all these different experiences.
Oh,
Yeah,
yes, yes, I agree. I agree. It's very important, you know, every single day it's a different experience.
yeah, it can be. Yeah,
And the
can.
important is the people that you meet and also the culture that you learn from it, you know, because it's pure medicine for the mind. And
It is.
we are all different one from another, but there is always something to learn from one of another. This is
I
why,
agree. I
this
agree.
is why ballet is a universal language, because whenever you go in a different, you see the globe who is turning here. We all speak different languages, but ballet is one.
It's true. It's a universal language of its own, isn't it? Yeah, beautiful.
A grand plié is a grand plié, grand battement is a grand battement everywhere.
Yeah, it's
Adagio is adagio, and allegro is allegro, and applause are applause. And this is
yeah.
why we must be united. All dancers, all artists must be united. And this is the aim of Ballet International, is to get people united, you see? And what, well, besides the war that we have in Europe, you know, with Russia and Ukraine, but I hope that soon they will find a good solution. Let's hope. But how is the response and how does Australia react to Europe referring to ballet on this war? You
How
know,
does how
about the dancers who are in Ukraine, that they travel in other countries. How is Australia responding to this? Do they help Ukrainian dancers?
helpful actually, Jean-Pierre? And I think that they've been helpful not only in terms, like obviously militarily and defense-wise,
No.
but I think that in terms of dancers, there have been people who have arrived in Australia from the Ukraine. And I think just generally Australian society welcomes them with open arms. So
Yes.
what I do think, I mean, I'm sure you would agree that there are times, even if you step back from ballet for a time, then you might be doing other things. So, for example, I have done a lot of academic study, and I did a Bachelor of Arts, and then I did a Master's of International Business. But international relations is actually the theme that goes through both, degrees.
Yes.
And it's been absolutely fascinating because I have been fortunate enough to have the most fantastic lecturers in the world, take me through this whole academic pathway. But it means that you're then exposed to see an event, a world event, through different lenses, because you can't afford to see things in a bigoted way. And that's one of the beautiful things about ballet and the arts. I think we do tend to generally look and try and view the world through the lens of others.
Yes.
And it makes for, well, interesting discussion, but an interesting interpretation of world events too.
I agree.
I think, when it comes to ballet, I know when, adversity is hit, and, there have been a number of times in my life where all it takes is to just have the hand to the bar and to hear the music begin. And it's like you just recalibrate. And
Yes.
I think that ballet has that uniqueness about it. It's because it's such a physical, mental, emotional, spiritual sort of dimension that when you are there, that is all that matters. So I think if people in the Ukraine have ballet as part of their training, if ballet is part of their life, then I just hope that's something too, that for them they can, even amidst the turmoil and the sadness and the loss and all that goes with everything they knew before, that sense of the assuredness of ballet, that you are there in the present, there in the moment. It's beautiful, it's perfect. It's ballet. Yeah.
I agree with you because, when you touch the bar with your hand and you start the first music, the first note of the music
Yeah.
of the first movement, there is something magic coming out of it.
Yes. I agree. I agree. It's
And
beautiful. Yeah.
artists can only understand what is this magic about.
Yes. Yeah. I know. I think we're very fortunate, Jean-Pierre.
Yes,
Very fortunate.
yes.
Yeah.
And so, Lisa, what are if someone would come and tell you, Lisa, thanks to your great experience and your capacities, because not only ballet, but in many other things, you have been traveling in many countries, New Zealand, Indonesia, and you have a very strong background on experience on your shoulders. Would you want maybe one day, if they tell you, Lisa, would you like to work in a ballet company in the administration and also teach?
Oh, I would say,
How?
how much are you going to pay me? You pay me well enough, and yes, I'll be there.
Ah, that is a naughty reply.
Just having fun. Just having fun.
Yes. Well, because I think that with your experience would be very useful in a ballet company.
Thank you, Jean-Pierre.
We need people, with great energy, such as yours, in a ballet company, not only in the administration, but also within the company members. It's very important. It's very important.
Mm.
Just think about it, not only in a ballet academy, but in a ballet company. That would be lovely. And
Yes.
would you like maybe one day to promote a new project, like, you have in Europe, in Switzerland, Prix de Lausanne, which is one of the, competition, or maybe like in Varna, in Bulgaria. Why wouldn't you create such a thing in Perth?
Jean-Pierre, I'm not quite sure what these competitions are that you're referring to.
Yes. Well, they do competition about there are young people who go there, and they make competition to see who can win the first prize, second prize, third prize. And upon their capacities, they are directed into different ballet companies, and sometimes
Oh,
they
sorry, and
yes,
yes,
offer a contract of work for 1 year or maybe more to very
yes,
talented dancers, or they
yes,
have a scholarship to a big ballet academy just to complete the studies. Because
yes,
sometimes depending of the age, you have young students of 12, 14 and up to 18 years old. And then after 18, 19, they must do audition in a ballet company.
yes,
So depending of the age, they are directed into different, but not all of them succeed in this competition. So of course, there is a great financial backstage work on this competition that is programmed and that is elaborated by all the organizer. But I think that due to your capacities and your experience, maybe if you discover how to create that opportunity and to do
yes,
that in Perth one day in the future, maybe not next year, but in 5 years' time,
yes,
that would be also and give a different imprint of art in Australia, because
yes, yes,
Australia would be one of the first countries to have something similar. Instead of going to Switzerland to go to Varna in Bulgaria or to go to United States, many people would go to Australia.
brilliant. Yeah, I like your thinking, Jean-Pierre.
So we must be creative in creating new projects, new opportunities,
Yes,
new ideas. It's not only Ballet International who creates calendars or the new videos. No, but it's creating, promoting, and inventing new things,
yes,
because otherwise
yes.
people get
New
bored and get
pathways.
busy.
No, I think you're right. Yes,
So I don't know, this is an idea that I submit to you that maybe you can develop slowly upon the society that you have in Perth or in other towns of Australia.
yes,
In
yes,
Australia, there are many people that I worked with when I was in South Africa, like Ashley Killer, Dawn Weller. There are many other people who are in Australia who are brilliant
yes,
artists, but they are not young as you, but they have a great experience in ballet because they
yes,
are working in great ballet companies. Dawn Weller has been prima ballerina of South Africa. Ashley Killer
yes,
has been one of the great choreographers in South Africa, and he's one of the greatest. So
yes,
if you elaborate this, I think, this project in the future years, and you develop this, maybe with the help of your husband, with the help of some other people in ballet, and you create that opportunity for young generation to
yes,
participate to a competition, but held in Australia, in order
yes,
that they don't have to travel up to Lausanne, to Bulgaria, or to other places, because the cost and the time of flight is too long.
exactly.
You
No,
know,
I think you're, yes,
yes, I mean, if someone must go from Australia, from Sydney to Perth and make a competition, It's going to cost half of the price, maybe a quarter of the price than if they have to travel to United States or to Lausanne.
Yes.
And also, it will give a prestige to the Australian culture to have something new that doesn't exist
Yeah.
before.
Yeah. Good thinking, Jean-Pierre. You've given me a good idea.
I hope you will be able to develop that.
Good. Thank you for that.
So, Lisa, we have reached the end of our interview.
Yes.
What
Jean-Pierre, thank you for having the lovely chat. It's been wonderful to meet you and
I
have a
still,
chat.
I still have 3 questions, and then we
Oh,
end.
okay.
What is your wish that you would like to express to the young people who have never done ballet or they are just learning ballet all around the world, not only in Australia? What is your
Yes.
wish? Because you know that your interview need to be watched by 1,000 and 1,000,000 of people today. So go for it.
Well, I would just wish that young people thinking about, joining dance classes just derive as much enjoyment and passion and excitement from attending a class as I always have. I hope that they find the beauty and peace and artistry in ballet, because those are all the things that make ballet so special, so beautiful, and it keeps people present. So I wish that all young students wanting to do a ballet class would just enjoy the movement, enjoy the fact that ballet is so perfect. Yeah, I just wish them all good things.
And enjoy the magic of working at the bar.
The magic of working at the bar, the feeling of the hand to the bar, there's nothing quite like it.
And what is your wish that you would like to express to the ballet teachers, the choreographers, the artistic directors of ballet companies in order to keep ballet alive all the time?
Yeah. So I would say, for people in that situation, obviously they are well-trained professionals. So I think then to teach with kindness and love and excitement about what they're doing, then I think that excitement then transfers onto their students, the dancers within ballet companies. I think then everybody feels that, ballet is this dynamic, ever evolving, vital part of our, whole makeup. So I think just to teach with passion and kindness and continue doing what they're doing, it's spot on.
Good reply. Last question. What is your wish that you would like to express and present to all the Ballet International members who are in the group of Ballet International on Facebook?
Well, I think we're obviously part of a community, and I love the fact that it's an international community. I think we all share the same aspirations. I think we all share our love of dance, obviously a love of life and the arts. So my wish is just all good things for everybody within this wonderful community that you have created, Jean-Pierre.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Well, your words are mirroring your soul,
Thank you,
because you have shown
Jean-Pierre.
that you are a very, very special person, very
Oh,
special
thank
artist.
you. Yeah.
Lisa, I wish to present my warmest wishes for the Merry Christmas to you, to your family, and to all your students. and a special greetings for the Happy New Year to 2023. Let's hope
Oh,
that
thank you.
the future will be not only for next year, but the years after will be good for everyone, and with a lot of new ideas to develop in ballet.
Yes, lovely. I agree. Merry Christmas to you, Jean-Pierre. A very happy New Year.
Okay, and so you stay online a little second. I just end up the conclusion with Ballet International. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching this wonderful interview held by Mrs. What is your name? Lisa?
Purchas?
Ah, Lisa Purchas. Is that right?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's right.
Because I am a disaster pronouncing the names, and which has been really wonderful. So thank you again to everyone for watching this interview, and all my best wishes to everyone. Bye bye.